What's up, y'all? So this video has been highly requested and I'm excited to have finally compiled my thoughts together into one video on the subject, and that is how to find $1 million product to sell online. In other words, how to find the right products that will turn a profit and make you some money. Now, I'm going to warn you up front, this is not an easy task, but the payoff is immensely worth it. And so make sure you listen to all these tips in this video and compile them all into one campaign to find your product, as opposed to choosing bits and pieces of different tips here and there. Because if you do all these tips, you're going to be more likely to be successful. So tip number one, I'm going to go over the easy ones first, and we're going to dive deeper into more analytical stuff here in a second. So tip number one is finding a product that has low seasonality. And what that means is finding a product that you don't have certain peaks and dips throughout the year. So for example, let's say you're selling a Christmas product or a product that revolves around a certain holiday. Obviously, those products are going to have peaks around those holidays, and then it's going to dip later in the year. So if you find a product that is good all year round and you can have sales all year round, you're going to be more likely to have consistent income from this one product and ultimately make more money from this item. And tip number two is finding a product that is more than $25 and maybe less than $75 to $100, and make sure it has a good profit margin. And this is because if you find a product that is really cool and it sells really well, but it's only $5, you're gonna have to sell that product 6 times more than if you had a product that is $30. So the more the product costs without being too overpriced, the less effort you're gonna have to put into, and the less you're gonna have to sell to make the money you wanna make. And to go along with that, I mentioned profit margin. So profit margin is the difference that your item costs to sell as opposed to how much you're selling it for. So let's say you're selling a product for $30, but it cost you $25 in supplies. That is only a $5 profit for that one product. So that profit margin is not very good. Now let's get into some of the nitty gritty on how to find actual products. So let's jump in here and talk about filling a gap. So filling a gap is all about comparing suppliers with existing sellers of a certain product to determine the popularity of a product, if there's a demand for it, if there's too much competition, and comparing these two things together will give you a good idea of if you should go after this product. And no matter what you're selling on, whether it's Shopify, Etsy, Amazon, any other selling platform, there are going to be supplier platforms and there's going to be seller platforms. So whatever you're doing, compare with the platforms you're going to use. But for this video, I'm going to be comparing AliExpress, which is a kind of a drop shipping market, and Amazon. So AliExpress is the supplier market, and I'm going to compare it to Amazon, which is the seller's market. All right, so we're here in AliExpress, and what we're looking for is a healthy amount of suppliers on the supplier side to tell us that there is a demand for a certain product. But when we compare that product to Amazon, the seller side, we don't want to see a flood of other sellers, meaning high competition. So what we're looking for is high demand, but no one has really filled that market gap yet. And I spent a long time looking for examples. This is going to be the longest step of the process because you really want to trial and error and find the best products possible. But I found a good example and a bad example. Let's start with the bad example. So on AliExpress, I just searched a whole bunch of stuff and I came across these. These are sea urchin pots that you can plant succulents in. And when I first saw this, I was like, hey, that's actually a pretty good idea. I haven't really ever heard of that. I wonder if there's a lot of competition. So here's my thought process. So whenever I searched it on the supplier platform, I can see a lot of suppliers supply this product, meaning there's a demand for it, because if there was no demand, there wouldn't be as many sellers supplying it. Now, I know these don't meet the $25 price point. Just ignore that. We're going to get back to that later. So I was like, yeah, I could go after this. Let me take it over to Amazon and see how they compare. But the problem was when I took it over to Amazon, I found a bunch of the same listing and 154 results of basically the same thing over and over and over again, with the top sellers being, they've got a 4.5-star review with 1,200 reviews. So too much competition. This is not a good product to get into. On the flip side, let's look at a product that's a better example. So I spent a lot of time and I think I finally found a good example that displays my thoughts well. So if we go back here to AliExpress, I came across themed lamps. And so this is kind of a generalized themed lamp, and I can see that there's a lot of sellers creating a lot of different themed lamps. But one struck me, this astronaut one right here. So the supplier is selling it for $10, which means I can probably mark it up to $20 or $25. So that's good. But what struck me as odd is it was the only seller who did this specific lamp. So I copied and pasted the title and I took it over to Amazon, and I could not find a single seller who was selling that exact lamp. But here's the flip side of that. So I typed in astronaut lamp, and there was a demand for an astronaut lamp. There's others of a similar sort, but none of that same exact product, which tells me there's people buying this, but I can fill the gap with that new unique product. Now, once we have this product, what should we do with it to make it better than the other limited competition? So I'm not looking at these. These are kind of different than what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these because they're very similar to the one I will be selling. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to one that has a good amount of reviews, this one right here. Go to the reviews at the bottom and filter to only show the 1 and 2 star reviews. And the reason for this is we want to learn from the mistakes the previous sellers made who are doing this product and kind of expand upon it. So the 1 star reviews they're getting, like this one, it looks kind of cheap when you see it in person, died after 20 seconds, broken, nothing like the picture. What I'm seeing is maybe the seller was giving a false sense of reality of what the product is, which tells me when I sell the product, I need to be real, do some lifestyle photos, and just be more realistic about what the product is without making it look too lame and boring. So don't use like stock images or highly filtered images to make it look better than it is. That way people won't be disappointed when they get the product. They'll know exactly what they're getting. All right, so if you're doing this and you're getting a bit overwhelmed, it seems like a lot of research and a lot of work, I want to enlighten you with something that may be a little encouraging, and it's called the 80-20 rule. So what the 80-20 rule is, it's a standard in marketing that we tend to use, and it means that 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your products. So if you're worried about really putting all your eggs into one basket with one product, and like, what if it doesn't work? You've tried it before and it doesn't work. What I would recommend for you, if you're really discouraged, is doing this whole process 5 times over, finding 5 products, and statistically, one of those products will have more success than the other 4 combined. So good luck to you. I hope you find a really good product, and I hope you make lots of money from it, and I really hope these tips helped. If you have any other tips that I didn't mention, but you want to help the community out, please let me know in the comments, and I'd love to check them out. We can share with each other different tips that were mentioned in this video. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.